Welcome to the Mom as Well podcast. We are digging deep into the gifts and the gaps of foster and adoptive parenting. I'm Tara Hutton, and I'm glad you're here. Mama's Well. Yes, she is. Well, welcome back. I am really excited about my guest, plural, today. I just wanted, just in case you don't know, you probably heard me talk about him. I know you've heard me talk about him a lot, but my husband, Kyle, is a songwriter. So much of our life is wrapped up into little snippets of songs. And some of them get recorded, and some of them stay on little pieces of paper, and you find them all over. And so it's been a fun journey with him, and we've met really, really cool people along the way. And one of his all-time favorites, when I met Kyle, I got to go back a little bit. When I met Kyle in college, he used to talk about this singer-songwriter a lot. A lot. I mean, a lot. I thought, wow, I got to meet this guy. And one day we did. And since then, this man has become a mentor to my husband, a friend to my husband, and just so much more than just somebody that he really looked up to when he was 20 years old. So I'm excited to introduce you to my husband, Kyle, again, and Radney Foster.
Hey, Tara. Hi, Tara.
This is so weird. You guys are usually, I get to be like in charge.
That's right. Yeah, you're in charge.
You are.
You are.
In charge.
And we're not.
And you're
Yeah,
not.
so that's
I'm
nice.
the boss.
I'm happy not being in charge.
You're happy not being in charge.
I like it the least.
Yeah.
Probably, you know.
Well, Radney, so if you don't know who Radney Foster is, you're about to. And you know what? Just because you're probably wondering, what in the world does this have to do with foster care and adoption? Well, his last name's Foster. So just in case you were wondering, we're going to get there. The last name is Foster. No, there's way more. There's way more to this story, but I'm going to let it kind of play out here. But first of all, Radney, would you tell, because you know what's so cool about this? I was just telling Radney how we got started on this, but I thought when I started doing this, I didn't know, is anyone, you probably can relate to this a long time ago, but is anyone going to listen? Like, is this going to be
yeah, you're always scared. Who's listening besides my mom in her living room?
Yeah.
Right.
And is it going to be like crickets? Like, what's going to happen? And what's really encouraged me is that there's people all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
I still go, there's people all over the world that are listening, and that's so exciting to me, but they may not know who Radney Foster is.
They don't need to. I mean, there's I am a singer-songwriter, and I have been for a long time. I was first in a band called Foster and Lloyd in the late 80s, and we had a #1 record with a song called Crazy Over You, and if you go look that up, you'll hear a rockabilly number, and you go, oh, I remember that song.
And Kyle might
And
belt
here's
it out
the deal.
in a minute.
Radney won't brag, but basically Foster and Lloyd paved the way for bands that you and I were two-stepping to, like Brooks and Dunn and those. I mean, as a duo, they had like the fastest climbing #1 since the Everly Brothers or something like. I mean,
we actually had the first #1 single by a duo as a debut single. So
Wow.
it had never happened before until us. And
That's really cool.
But so I did that for about 5 years, and we had several top 10 hits, and then I went solo and had several top 10 hits, and then I started making independent records, and have kind of never looked back. But along the way, for some unknown reason, a lot of people from a lot of different genres.
And all over the world, too.
Yeah. From Hootie and the Blowfish to, I got a George Benson cut the other day, the famous jazz guitarist.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Dixie Chicks, Keith
Urban,
Sarah Evans.
Yeah.
You want me to go on for you?
Yeah, go. Sure.
Kyle.
Dierks Bentley, lots of people.
Kyle
Lots
knows
of
them
cuts.
all,
Yeah.
Radney.
Luke Bryan's cut one of
Yeah.
my songs. Yeah.
That's so cool. And you're sitting right here with me.
I am.
How'd you get on the Mom as Well podcast?
They'll
let you
let
in.
anybody in this place.
That's
Don't
so
let anybody
cool.
in here, right?
Yes. So
Actually, you know what, Tara? I
Yeah.
mean, I'll just say this.
Please.
We kind of lucked out. Radney and his wife Cindy were in town, and they're traveling together because they've got some really cool stuff going on that he may or may not be at liberty to talk about yet. But
Well,
he's got
I
a
can
sold
say
out
this.
show tonight.
A sold out show tonight
In
here
town.
In
Yeah.
town.
And that's how we
down the
snagged
road.
you.
Down the
Which,
road.
by the way, we have to have him there in about. I have to leave
Okay.
here in about 40 minutes.
This
to
is
take him
show
there.
business,
So-
guys.
So-
Show business.
But yeah, the exciting news is my wife and I have. I wrote a book of short fiction to go with my last record, and it's called "For You to See the Stars." And there's a short story for each song on the record.
Yes,
and
we
if
have
people
that
go to
book.
radneyfoster.com for a
You
little,
can-
they come autographed. They make good stocking stuffers.
Yeah, stocking stuffer idea.
That's it, right? And but she and I wrote a movie based on one of the short stories.
You wrote, hold on. You wrote the book. We have the
I
book.
wrote the book.
But now you wrote a movie?
Based on one of the stories. Yeah. I
didn't know that.
Cindy and I have written a movie about, and it's in development.
Okay.
So we're having a long weekend meeting with our producers right after this. So
In
we're-
this area?
in Central Texas, at Round Top, actually.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So we lucked out. We found a window, and we're able to get him to come hang
snagged
out
ya.
today. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I thank you for being here.
Oh,
I feel
very cool.
super honored. And there's more than that your name is Foster. That I was being silly. But Kyle, well, okay, first of all, I know something about you that I think that you've shared with Kyle and he shared with me, or maybe we were all together, but you are not unfamiliar with adoption.
No, not at all. I have a younger brother and sister who are adopted.
Okay. Were they siblings?
No, they were
Okay.
not. My younger sister's 5 years younger than I am. My younger brother's 10 years younger than I am.
Okay.
And there was the Methodist Mission Home in San Antonio, Texas, was the organization that they came through.
Okay.
My mom and dad weren't able to have any more children after me.
Okay.
And wanted more
Sure.
children, and so my younger brother and sister were both adopted, and there was never any secretiveness or distinction, about that relationship in any way. I mean, I think kids love to hear the bedtime story about the day they were born.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with my brother and sisters, it'd be like, tell me about the day that y'all got me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you were how old when they came?
I was 5.
And was it the same time?
No.
Okay.
My sister came at 5, and then my brother came when I was 10.
Okay. And they were newborns?
My sister was about several months old. She was I want to say 8 or 9 months old.
Oh, okay.
But then my little brother was like 6 weeks.
Yeah. So how did you, and you don't, you stop me if I ask too much, you know me, I ask a lot of questions. But how did you receive that? Because you were only child for.
No. I had an older sister.
Oh, you had an older sister too.
I had an older sister too. And
Okay. How did the both of you receive that?
it was, just another baby in the house,
Yeah.
and it seemed normal.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything. I remember playing with my sister. My sister was born on the 4th of July, so it was always a little unfair that she'd be in the paper all
She
the time.
got fireworks and everything
Oh
for
yeah,
her
man.
birthday.
Yeah, it's like born on the 4th of July,
Yeah.
waving a flag
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Those kinds of things. But-
Well, your mom obviously, I don't know if I have a feeling she has a heart for adoption. She always likes
amen.
all my Facebook
Oh yeah,
posts
my
and
mother,
stuff.
my mother has a heart for adoption. She
Yeah.
has a heart for loving children.
Yeah.
She
Loving
taught
people. She's
loving
a sweet
people.
lady.
She is.
Yeah.
She is opinionated too. She will tell you exactly what she feels
Yeah.
and what she believes. But she taught school for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents reached out to kids through church and through social organizations our whole lives. My dad was a small town lawyer, and a small town lawyer is really different than a Houston, Texas lawyer
Sure.
because you kind of do everything. And there were a whole lot of kids who got, in the 60s, who got caught with 2 joints in their back pocket and were terrified that they were going to go to prison for 5 years. You know?
Wow.
And yeah, marijuana laws used to be really different.
Wow. And so your dad
And
would
my
step
dad
in.
was, you know, I mean, they were a whole lot of, you know, parents would abandon a kid and they'd be sleeping in the spare bedroom till daddy could talk the parents into, you know,
Wow.
saying he's not a bad kid or she's not a bad kid. They just made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know?
So your parents understood trauma without all of the trauma research out there.
Yeah, yeah,
They were
did.
They were looking.
They did. They looked at it. They looked at it as a part of how to proceed with their faith. It really was faith
Okay.
driven.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but and always, you know, to me, that's looking underneath the behavior and recognizing that a child is more than this behavior that they're
Right.
demonstrating. And what is that behavior trying to tell us?
Right. You know,
That's
that kind
good.
of thing.
So, so you know about adoption. Kyle obviously has looked up to you for a very long time, and so I'll just tell the brief story since we don't have you very long. I'll tell my version because you guys get to tell your version all the time, and I'll tell about that in a second. But you know, I think we had been fostering for a while, and I remember it was a Sunday morning, and I was just really overwhelmed. Like I didn't have any support. You know, my I have great friends, but they all have kids that are older. Just, you know, and maybe, and I'll, you know, tell on myself a little bit, but I probably wasn't reaching out and asking for support that I needed.
Right.
I think I was coming to a crossroads where I was realizing, like, I'm not doing well.
Right.
I'm not doing well, and I need some help. And so that kind of got Kyle thinking, you know, how are we going to get some support? what are we going to do? Because obviously we're not going to quit. We're going to move forward. We're going to figure out how to do it. And in that space, I think, right, Kyle, that's when, you know, some songs started. You'd been writing songs.
Yeah.
You'd been writing songs, but the support part kind of goes along with where I'm going with this. But you had been writing some songs. We were needing some support. We were recognizing that this is like way more challenging than we anticipated. And we weren't exactly prepared.
Right.
And so that's in the back of our mind, trying to figure out what we're going to do. Kyle's writing all these songs, and then you had this like brainstorm that Sunday morning that I referred to, where I think you were like, we need to educate people on what we're doing.
Yeah.
We need to educate people on what we're doing, that there's a need not only for children who need a place to stay, but for parents who are like us, you know, have jumped into the water and we're a little over our heads. We need support too. And how can we educate people? And of course, the songwriter in Kyle says, in a song. We'll write a song. So would you tell the story from there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think what I remember thinking, sitting there in church, that there's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people in the world. And the fact that we're absent of maybe some help that we feel like we need, or some relief that we feel like we need, or just some temporary helping hands to come in and get around us as we're trying to figure out. Because like your parents, Radney, and you know this about our journey, you know, it wasn't motivated necessarily because we were trying to grow our family, because we've already done that, right? And
Yeah, you had raised those boys and they were gone.
yeah, pretty much. But it was for us, it was a call that was based on our faith. And
Sure.
and so you know, like a lot of things in life, I'm idealistic. I'm a songwriter. We jump into it. Man, this is great. We're going to save the world. We're going to blah, 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 you know. And you get in and you're like, oh,
This is hard work.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, oh wow
That
wasn't the word
hurts.
we used.
That hurts. Yeah. So I just remember sitting there in church thinking, man, look at all these people sitting around us. And they don't know. They don't know what we're dealing with. And they don't. And I feel like as much as I can be cynical, because I can be cynical about organized religion. And I mean, you know,
It's easy to do.
kinda-
It's an easy target.
That's exactly right.
As another podcast.
So but I literally remember thinking, there's people sitting around us right now that if they knew we needed help, they would help us.
They would help you in a heartbeat.
And this is just about us speaking up, because I had been adopted. And so, I was adopted. My parents always told me, so it wasn't a secret. So I had been thinking about adoption my whole life.
Right.
And never made the connection to foster care and
Right.
adoption. So, I remember sitting there that Sunday, to answer your question, and going, you know what? This is about awareness. This is about awareness. And I had been collecting all these little ideas for songs and maybe a little line here or there. And I thought, man, it'd be awesome to educate people through one of the most emotional tools that we have. And that's music. And so the next day, it was a Monday.
So now you texted me.
I did. I was walking into the gym, and the reason I remember it was a Monday because I never go to the gym, and that was a Monday, so it's easy to remember. No, so I'm walking into the gym, and I thought, you know what? Radney's last name is Foster. I'm like, that's a sign from God. We're supposed to. No, I remember what I did is I went and I looked up the definition for the word foster, and the two words that really stood out in the definition were to nurture and mentor.
Yeah.
And literally, and you know this, I've told you this. This will be our sappy couch moment.
Yeah, that's a sappy couch moment.
Where I don't know that there's anybody that's been willing that has had the platform and the experience in the craft that you have had that has been willing to impart that on me. And so to nurture or mentor, I read that, and so what I did is...
Well, I wanted to do that because you were talented, actually.
Well, I appreciate
you were good
that.
at it.
I appreciate that. And Radney and I had written songs before, so
Right.
I had his cell number in my phone, and I texted him. I just texted him that definition, Foster, and I just put out, I did the little noun,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
I did it like it was in the dictionary. And I said, hey, nobody's done this more for me in my music career than you. Tara and I are doing this foster care thing. People don't know about it, and there's kids down here that need help. What if I come to Nashville, we write some of these songs that I've been, ideas I've been coming up with, and see what we come up with, and then we do a project to benefit kids in foster care. And man, Radney texted me, right back, and just said, absolutely, let's do it.
What Kyle didn't know was about my family history that I had an adopted
Yeah.
brother and
I didn't
sister,
know
and I was like, "Oh, are you kidding? Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely."
Yeah.
And the legacy that I learned from my parents
Yeah.
and the things that they did.
Yeah.
So it was
Well, we're
pretty
really
easy to say yes.
grateful.
Well, it
Yeah,
was.
for
You know what
sure.
was really fun? It was. It was fun to write the songs. I think they came out really cool.
Tell us that, because that's something Kyle tells. He came home saying, "You're not going to believe this."
Well, normally, if he and I write, it'll take us all day or maybe a day and a half to get a song.
Yep.
And that's a pretty common.
Yeah. Not just when you write with the slow kids.
No,
It's like
yeah,
that.
no, that's for me. Yeah, I there are people who do, it's like can write a song in 2 hours,
Yeah.
and it does happen every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's unusual.
Yeah.
I'm the slow kid, really, and so Kyle came in with these ideas, and we wrote 4 songs in less than 48 hours.
It's unreal.
He got off the plane. We wrote a song. We ate lunch. We wrote another song. We ate dinner and were exhausted. And then the next morning, we wrote 2 more songs, and I put them on a plane that afternoon at 4 o'clock in the
It was
afternoon.
crazy.
It was
crazy.
unreal.
It really,
Yeah.
because here's the deal, they were good.
Oh, yeah, no, they can't, yeah.
Because like sometimes
Says-
you can
says the
finish a song.
songwriters.
Yeah, you
because
can
you're
finish it,
like,
but yeah, but it's
hey
like,
man, let's do some placeholder stuff to just get this one done.
done, right?
That was
Because we're going to move on,
Yeah.
knowing that it's
Yeah.
like no one's ever going to hear
Yeah.
this thing,
Yeah.
Well, do you guys each want to share, like, I'm not making you play the song, but would you share like one of your, like, just a moment from one song each or
I'll
something?
I'll tell you my favorite moment
Okay.
was Kyle told me the story of you guys were fostering an infant, not knowing whether it was going to go to an adoptive parent's home or back to its birth mother. And there's that 6-week period that somebody's got to take care of these little ones when that happens. And it was the day that you knew that, and he said, Tara had, all lined up, an exact number of bottles that she was going to need to be fed, before she left. And I said, of course she did. I've met Tara. Well, we've met, Kyle. I'm sure that's a no-brainer. And you were heating up the bottle and jostling the baby so she wouldn't cry.
On the day she was going to get picked up.
On the day she's going to get picked up. And he said,
leave us.
And you said in your mind, you just went 3 more bottles and she's gone. And I said, that's a brilliant freaking song title. And I said, can we write it as a Merle Haggard drinking song? And he said, absolutely, we can do anything we want. So the whole first line is if there was anything I could do to make her stay, I'd put down the bottle and I'd find a better way. Yeah. But she's packed up and on to someone new. Picking up the pieces is all that's left to do. And so, I mean, it sounds exactly like it's a guy in a bar, but it's a guy with a bottle feeding the baby.
Yeah, but you don't tell that.
You discover it through the breadth of the song.
Yeah.
And,
Sucker punch you in the bridge.
It's a really cool song, and that's a really true story. Yeah. And we don't have time to tell a whole lot about that story, but I was very angry about having to give that baby back.
Oh, I bet.
It was the first one. That was the first baby that we had, and we had her for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's when we really learned something. I know
that takes
a lot of
that takes an amazing amount of love and discipline.
Yeah.
Because how can anyone care for a baby for 2 months and not get emotionally attached to that child?
Well,
it's just impossible. You're supposed to.
That's the job.
Yeah,
right?
That's the job. And it comes with being a parent.
And the funny thing is our paperwork. We had no intention of adopting. Our paperwork says foster only. That's what we signed up for. So it wasn't about an intention thing.
No, and it's got to go because it's already been predetermined. This is either going to go to an adoptive family or it's going to go back to the birth mother.
And, but there
and it's
was
up to the birth mother to make the decision.
Yeah.
I guess at that point.
It was cool though that very moment that I had a little. I'll just tell this real quick. I had a wrap that I would wear her in all the time, And Kyle said, we were packing up things, and he said, are you going to give her the wrap? And I said,
the birth mom. She was going.
Are you going to, we're packing all these things, right? And I said, no. That's our thing.
No, that's mine.
That's our thing. And there was a tattoo across the mom's chest that said something not that kind, and I just said, I don't want her reading all of that. And I was just like really angry. I didn't want to do it. And I sat in the chair for a while and looking. It's a swivel chair that looks into my living room, and I was looking outside. And I was just looking outside, and God shifted my heart. I didn't even necessarily ask him to. I was bitter and angry. But when I turned back around, I said to Kyle, I'm giving her the wrap, and we're going to go get her dinner, and we're throwing a baby shower.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was cool because we went and got barbecue, and we got more things, and we had a schedule for her, and we had bottles made, and it was really like just literally in an instant that my heart shifted and my heart changed. And I remember we put the baby in the car with the mother. We were holding hands, walking back up to the agency's office, and we had a sense of, what would you call it?
Well, I just remember we hugged the mom, and we put the baby in her car seat, and you and I walked back up, and we looked at each other, and I don't know which one of us said it first, but one of us said, we can do this again.
100 more times. I think we said something like that.
Yeah.
It was such a sense of, and you've said this before, but like the only thing worse would have been not to have had that experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you my best song moment, because it's basically from that, because we learned something about foster care that day, and I know a lot of the people, you've got a mixed audience of foster and adoptive, parents.
And we're gonna have some country music fans listen
no
to this one. By the
Better
way,
have a lot more.
The way,
you can go hear all these songs on Spotify.
Hold on, I
and
just
Apple
need to plug
Music.
this right here. Please like and subscribe to the Mama's Will podcast. We give out some really good parenting tips, whether you're a foster parent or
That's
an adoptive
right.
parent or
That's
a
right.
biological parent. So anyway, okay, keep going.
So my favorite line in one of the songs, because again, if you've been down this road, you can relate to it, and that's a songwriter's job, is to write things that make people think or visualize something or imagine something that they haven't experienced,
Sure.
or completely relate to something,
Connect.
say it well, something they have
Yeah,
experienced.
I always feel
right?
like that at the end of any show. If I haven't made you want to laugh, cry, and kiss your sweetheart, then I didn't
Then
do
you-
my
you
job.
failed.
I
Yeah.
Fail
failed.
miserably.
Yeah.
That never
So,
happens.
or maybe kiss your sweetheart or the sweetheart next to you. Yeah. No. So I think my favorite lyric, Radney, and we haven't even talked about this, but going back to little Alexis and her going back to her mom, there's a line in a song called "Cross to Bear" that's pretty important to me. Because I remember, coming to you and what I had written down was specifically about that first little baby.
That's right.
And the line that I had was, if she stays or if she goes, my heart's going to break.
Oh yeah.
Like either way, because we all know that the kids from hard places that stay, I mean, it's a heartbreak. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to have their hearts broken. We're going to have our hearts broken. We're all going to hopefully work through it together and that kind of stuff. But whether they stay or whether they go, you're signing up for a heartbreak.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
And Cross to Bear just talks about that, like that being the cross to bear if this is what you're going to sign up for. And the lyric says, and it's so much what we went through, you won't know exactly what it means till the first time you pack up their things. And you'll know, I can't even say it, you'll know she had more love than she did before, but you'll realize it might have changed you more.
Oh, that's so good.
yeah.
Did you write that, Kyle?
We did.
You're
together.
looking at it.
Yeah.
You're looking at
the
it.
two guys that wrote that.
You know,
yeah.
sometimes
There's
Kyle,
some secrets we don't tell.
So-
Because here's the deal. Like if I
No,
wanted
it really.
a song,
It's like yeah, absolutely.
if I wanted to write a song about having an affair,
you would say
I
he
would
wrote
go
it.
sit down with Radney and I would say, okay, here's the deal. Cindy thinks I brought the idea to the table, and Tara thinks
I brought the idea. Fair enough. Fine.
Some things stay between us.
Got it. Okay.
So anyway, Cross to Bear is I love it because I feel like we did capture that.
Yeah, I did too.
That rock in that hard place.
Yeah.
That everybody finds themselves in that does foster care. So
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I got to sing on that. Did you
On
know
the
I was
record,
on there?
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You're on Amazing Grace.
Yes. And the reason that's the only song it's an EP called
got
A
5
Place
songs.
to Stay.
Five songs, yeah.
on it.
The title track is A Place to Stay, which is one of the songs,
Yep.
which we all
That kind of became the anthem
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the
and by the way,
awareness to
there's
it.
a video of you guys
Yeah, there is.
We shot that in Nashville, Tennessee.
We did.
Yeah.
on A Place to Stay, and can we play that at the end of this?
Yeah, put
Sure,
it-
yeah.
So
please,
you have to stay all the way to the end. You'll hear and see the video. But the Amazing Grace came from. We decided to put that on there because this idea came to me probably when I was just rocking one of the babies, and kind of an anchor. You hear about an anchor?
Sure.
I was like, I just want. First of all, I like to sing, not on stage like you two. I mean, I really do. I have a deep-seated secret that I like to sing, but I just get scared.
That's okay.
But anyway, I would sing Amazing Grace because I thought, that's a song that really they're likely to hear again sometime
Sure.
in their life.
Sure.
Everybody, whether you go to church or not, I mean, everybody knows Amazing Grace.
It is, in many ways, it is an ecumenical hymn that expresses, hope and aspiration.
Yeah, and so I thought that's a song that I want that to be an anchor for them. I want them to remember this rhythmic rocking motion and this song, and to know that there was somebody that cared for them and loved them in a time where they were afraid.
Sure.
And we didn't know how many kids would come through the house,
No.
right? I mean, or how long you would have them. And I think one of the things was, man, what can you do? I mean, what can you do if they're only here for a weekend or
Right.
for a week? what do? Well, you love them, you take care of them, you meet their basic needs, and we had just kind of decided that
We're gonna sing
Amazing Grace, that's going to be our deal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be our deal.
So, so that was on there too, and so there's Place to Stay, 3 More Bottles, Amazing Grace,
Across to Bear.
and then what's the last one?
A Little Love.
A Little Love. We all just need a little love.
We need a lot of it right now.
A lot of love. So anyway, you can get that. All those songs are available on
Spotify, Apple. You can put that link in the show notes.
Yeah. So I want to talk about something else before we go, because I know you have a show. And I didn't even put all this together, but you are not unfamiliar with trauma in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
But I've just finished a book Dr. Bruce Perry wrote with Oprah Winfrey. It's a fantastic book called What Happened to You. Mm-hmm. And he talks a lot about rhythm, which is what I just said, kind of came to me because of that book I just read. But as a regulatory, children who've experienced trauma early on, I mean, prenatally, everything, they have a state regulation problem, an inability, a struggle to regulate themselves.
Right.
And rhythm is a huge part of that.
Sure.
Which is what you do.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
The therapeutic aspects of music really start even before this. And I think it was one of the reasons that I really wanted to jump in on this project with Kyle was I started writing. I wrote a song called "Angel Flight" with Darden Smith, and it was the beginning of him starting to write with non-professional songwriters, just regular folk. And it was, he wrote with, traumatized children in a halfway house up in New Jersey. And he was writing with soldiers who were returning from Afghanistan and Iraq. And he started an organization and realized that he needed to codify it, called Songwriting with Soldiers. And me and him and a guy named Jay Clementi, who is now the musical director at Songwriting with Soldiers, and a great co-writer, who's co-written a lot of my songs that have both on my records and have been, cut by other people as well. Did the very first retreat, and that was more than 10 years ago, or coming up on 10 years. That is right at the 10-year anniversary of Songwriting with Soldiers here. And I've been doing that ever since. I have done, for a long time. Well, at the very beginning, we were the only 3 songwriters, and so if there were 3 retreats, we were the ones doing them,
Yeah.
And then there's now a sort of a well to borrow it from your Mama's Well. There is a well of songwriters who have gone through a little bit of training, and they hold probably a dozen retreats a year, full retreats. But they also, in conjunction with a program called PATH, which is about soldiers finding a path back into civilian life after they have mustered out of the military.
Do you know what PATH stands for? I've heard about PATH.
I do not.
Okay.
But
we'll look that up.
They do. I think they did 90 PATH retreats last year, and that's a one day. You walk in and you have, you write a song, boom, like with 5 guys or gals.
Is it a collective song?
Yeah.
Okay.
You write a collective song with, they're in a retreat for a week, but
your part is one day.
Your part is one day. You fly in, you write the song, you perform the song, you record it, and you fly out. And it's really intense.
Yeah.
But I just got through with the retreat, and we wrote several collective songs. 2 particular collective songs on the retreat with, I guess there were 6 either veterans or active duty, and there are 3 songwriters, and we wrote individually each. So I wrote with a couple of different vets, and and it's always interesting. The thing that I've had to learn to do from that is it's a really an amazing way to give back.
Yeah.
It does help me order and align and sort of, you know, dig through a little bit and from my own traumas in life.
Sure.
You know, from whatever those may be, and what I've got to do to, you know, sort of be a better dad, better husband, better, guy walking around.
Yeah.
And so giving back helps me in that process, but I also had to learn, you know, from doing it, these people have been through some really tough trauma.
Right.
You know, and with wounds both seen and unseen.
Sure.
You know, and they, you know, the thing you have to do is to learn to care and to ask really good questions. It's made me write differently, you know, and ask better questions, even of myself when I write or with professionals. But you know, because you're having to dig into some places that might hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and so they have a point of catharsis when you get through writing that song. It's sort of amazing to watch, and especially, you know, I'll record it on my phone and then just, you know, text it to them right then and there, and they're freaked completely out, you know.
Wow.
But it's some of the coolest work that I get to do.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is to learn. It's taught me to care, but not carry around their trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and that's helped me with my own issues. It's like, I don't have to carry that around.
Yeah.
You know, yep, that's something bad that happened to me.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, and apparently shoving it under the rug is
doesn't
not,
work, does it?
No, it doesn't really work. It's kind
Y'all
of
don't
sucks.
burst my bubble.
You know, it kind
No.
of sucks, and
Yeah.
apparently does not work at all,
No.
which is why I'm in therapy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it doesn't work.
but then the realization is like, oh, the reason I go to therapy is so I don't have to carry all of that
Yeah.
stuff around on my back all the time because it gets heavy.
Yeah.
You know.
You know,
So if people want to hear some
Yeah,
songs, there's some great songs. There's a PBS special that was out, and they periodically called Songwriting with Soldiers, and it's an evening of some who's who of songwriters, you know,
Wow.
that have written all these amazing songs with different soldiers from all the, you know.
do you know what it's called?
It's called Songwriting with Soldiers.
Songwriting with Soldiers, and we find it on
PBS. You got to go look on
okay.
pbs.org.
Wow.
And then you can also go to Songwriting with Soldiers, and they have a website where you can go and you can listen to tons of songs that have been written by
Okay.
hundreds of them.
Wow.
That
So they once they write them, they
Yeah.
put them out in the world.
oh yeah, they're out there. One of my favorites that I got to write, and you can go look this up.
Okay.
Is on it's called Waiting on the Boom.
Okay.
And I wrote it with a group of EOD personnel. EOD are
Explosive.
the explosive ordnance disposal.
Okay.
They're the guys that walk towards the
With
bomb.
the dogs and stuff.
With
Yeah,
the robots.
with the robots, with
Yeah.
dogs, with
Okay.
just
Hurt Locker,
themselves.
the guy in the suit with the,
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the ones that, you know, so I'm sitting there and I asked the guys, you know, what was the best part of your job?
Yeah.
And it's like 6 guys, and they said, man, you're 19 years old, you're a math whiz, and they're
Yeah.
going to tell you get to blow stuff up all day? Absolutely, they want to go
Yeah.
get that job,
Yeah.
you know? And so they laughed and told stories. I said, what's the worst part of your job? And then one guy got real quiet, and one guy said, I hated the walk. And I was like, what's the walk? He said, IED blows up the first vehicle in a group. You're the guy that gets out and walks towards it. You're looking for other IEDs. You're looking for other bombs, and you walk out there alone.
Wow.
And that's the first line of the song. I hated the walk.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
you
That's
do it all
wild.
alone.
Yeah.
It's a game of chess with death.
Yeah.
You know.
And songwriting is
know.
really powerful. And I guess they've prepared those guys throughout the week. Is this like a culminating piece
That was written on the last day.
of their retreat?
Of the retreat.
Yeah.
The retreats generally run a weekend. So they
Okay.
come in on Friday. We write a group song in the evenings. You get to know each other.
Yeah.
Saturday, you write 2 songs individually
Okay.
with a different vet, or sometimes the people who are actually active duty as well. And then on the Sunday morning, you write another group song. Sunday afternoon, their families will come, and you perform the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's wild.
This is reminding me.
Songwritingwithsoldiers.org.
Yeah, let's
go look it up.
And that PBS
Special.
Yeah. But I don't know if you know this, Radney, but Kyle does this with kids.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know how many years ago you started the songwriter camps.
Man, we've done these for years, and then in the more recent years, we've gone and worked with
in residential
kids
treatment
in
centers.
residential treatment centers and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
man, it's I think everybody can relate to that. If there's something in there, and there's a way for it to come out in
Sure.
a productive fashion, it leaves you better than before it came out. And to have a song to memorialize that, where you can go back and listen to it.
Well, and I always
has
tell
been amazing.
I always tell the guys and women and first of all, most of these people are like, oh well, I guess they want to be songwriters. Most of these people don't.
Oh, this
they're,
is just
they're
therapy.
It's just and it's a way of coping, or dealing with what's happened to them, and I always tell them, if you ask someone how heavy was your pack, they know to the pound.
Wow.
To the half pound sometimes, because they'll say it was supposed to be 54 pounds, but I was carrying this and extra that and two more of those and six, so I was carrying like 80 pounds. And you go, holy crap, and so I said, what's the best feeling when you would get back to base or to wherever you were and sleeping? And he said, oh, taking the pack off, is just the best feeling in the world. And so I said, well, this song's like your pack. You need to play it for your drinking buddies, your AA sponsor, or your pastor, or your wife, or your kids, or play it for them. Let it be an opportunity for you to show what came out of something that was really traumatic for you. How cool is that?
Right. Right.
And it said, and then don't carry it around.
Yeah.
Put it up on the shelf. If you need to go back and listen to it to help get through that again, go back and listen.
Yeah.
But you don't have to carry it around anymore.
Yeah. It's like you gave them a new pathway. When we experience trauma, our brain, we have pathways, neural networks in our brain that are created, and it doesn't ever go away. We don't erase those pathways. We just make new ones where we can say, oh, I remember that pathway. I'm not going to go on that one. I got a new one.
This one's better.
I got a new pathway.
This one actually works. It does something, right?
Yeah, that pathway is just not working for me anymore. Yeah. So I'm so happy that that's awesome that you guys do that. And I know from Kyle, and it sounds like from you, you get so much.
You get as much out of it as you put into it.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's amazing.
It's a cool way to give back. So.
Man, well, I know you guys. Is it time? Are we?
Yeah, we're getting close.
We're getting close. Okay, all right. Well, one more thing I was thinking about asking, and you don't have to answer this if you want to, but just on the trauma piece and kind of understanding. Have you did music for either one of you? Because I know you have some trauma, just adoption and. Just some things that you struggled to process through in your life, and you do too. And how have you seen music? Has music been a source of healing for you?
It's been the ultimate source of healing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that you don't know it when you're a kid and you start to write songs. You don't know that is something that you're going to use that to process. The good or the bad things that happen in your life, you're just, or at least for me, there were two reasons. One was I was the kid who looked at the record and looked at the little name and go, oh, that guy wrote the song, or those guys wrote their own songs, and so you're trying to emulate your heroes and want to do what they do. And you're learning those songs, so you're like, well, I should start trying to write a song too. The other is that you're just trying to get a girl to look at you and not think you're a goofball, And it's like, and if you can write a song, well, man,
that helps.
That helps,
Yeah. I believe
Case in
When you're
point.
15 and goofy,
yeah.
Case in point.
Case in point. Right?
Yeah.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
For me, I think one of the things about trauma is sometimes because of like anxiety levels and whatever else, it's hard to let the emotion out or get the emotion out or make sense of the emotion or even know how to like get started. And to me, songs were always something I could connect with. And because I can spend a lot of time on a song to get all the words right, like that is me expressing what I'm trying to express. And
Sure.
and honoring that by like taking the time to make it, number one, lyrically right, have the music match the mood of so
Sure.
it's a very sensory experience. It's not just about the words, And so,
Yeah, and I
it's been a
think
big
that
deal.
there's, as I've gotten older, one of the things that doing all these kinds of projects has done is make me go back and dig deeper as a songwriter and as an artist, as a recording artist. And it's like, you don't have to really, think all that hard about, let me, come up with an idea or make something up. If you just go, well, why don't I just write about what happened yesterday?
Yeah.
Because that might actually,
Yeah.
forget the starting from a title and start. It's like, let me tell you
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
tell you something that happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're writing something that's real.
Yeah, and that's what people connect with, your
Sure.
authenticity and
Sure.
the realness of life. Yeah. I think music is, I know for Kyle, it's definitely been healing for him. A friend of mine who'd never been to one of your shows, new friend of mine, came to a show a couple of weeks ago, and she was listening to Kyle, and of course she was very impressed. She's like, "Oh, your husband can write
You
songs."
should all come to a show.
And she said to me, "Is he always so emotionally expressive?" And she's a therapist too, so she is like noticing the emotion and expression of it in his songs. And I chuckled.
Sure.
Nope. He
No.
just used it all up.
It just all went out right there.
said-
In that hour and a half, you just saw all of it go. He's gonna
Exactly.
exactly right.
So I know that. I know that's true, and I also know that just music is just the movement.
One of the things that my wife will tell me is like, if she sees me being really anxious about something, it's like, babe, you want to play your guitar for half an hour?
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
just literally playing my guitar for half an hour.
That'll do it.
We'll do it.
Let's do it.
You know?
Okay, speaking of your guitar, I think you need to get it and go, right? You got to
Yeah,
show.
I do. Unfortunately,
You got to
I have
get
sound
it
check
and
and a
go.
movie.
You got to show.
Sound check and a show to do. So.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you.
Oh, this has been a joy. I'll come back anytime.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kyle.
Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks for letting me be on your show.
Yeah.
I know. Is this the first time you've been on the show?
No.
I've
He
done
sneaks
a
in
couple
sometimes.
couple other episodes.
You have to go back and watch.
Okay.
Mom as well. I have
Mom
a
as well.
YouTube channel. You can find me on.
Awesome.
What else? Spotify, Apple Pod. No, not Spotify. What's it
Yeah,
called? Is it
Apple
Spotify?
Podcasts.
Yeah,
Apple
Apple
Podcasts, yeah.
Podcast. Yeah.
I listen on Apple Podcasts all the
Yeah,
time.
there
so,
you go.
yeah.
This was fun, and I'm really grateful that Radney was able to be here. And I love talking about trauma. I love understanding how I think, how I work. And I mean, I've said this a lot, but when I understand me and I understand, the pains, and I'm able to be compassionate and kind to myself, it just oozes out my pores to other people, and that's what the world needs. We need some more of that. So, you know what? Explore music. If the very least, turn on your we have a Sonos at our house. Turn on your speaker, dance in the kitchen, and see how you feel. Because I think music is regulating, and writing is most definitely healing. So, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, share this, like, subscribe, leave us a review, and we'll see you next week.
Mama's well.
Yes, she is.